8 children were still small and at home in the 1950s, and so his patients mingled with his family. His home was a modest brick house on a quiet street, and I often wondered what patients from various parts of the country, who expected a leading psychiatrist to have a more pretentious office, must have thought. After we had studied the hypnosis of Dr. Erickson for a time, our interest shifted to his style of therapy. In the mid-1950s, I began a private practice of psychotherapy, specializing in brief treatment. My task was to get someone over his problem as rapidly as possible, usually using hypnosis. I soon realized that merely hypnotizing people did not cure them. I must do something to bring about change. I sought a consultant in brief treatment methods, and in those days of long-term insight therapy, there was no one available. Don D. Jackson, who had been supervising the therapy we were doing with schizophrenics in our research project, could be helpful, but his experience with brief therapy was limited. As I cast around for someone to advise me, I found that the only person I knew with special experience in short-term therapy was Dr. Erickson. From our talks on hypnosis, I knew he had a special style of therapy that sometimes involved hypnosis and sometimes did not. I began to visit him to discuss problems about the cases I was treating. It soon became obvious to me that he had an original style of therapy that had never been adequately presented in the field. I attempted to describe his approach in an article on brief therapy, which was later incorporated as a chapter in Strategies of Psychotherapy, New York, Gruen and Stratton, 1963. Over the years, I was tempted to present his approach more fully in book form. I hesitated because of the formidable labor of such a work, and also because I did not have an appropriate theoretical framework for thinking about and presenting his methods of therapy. Our research project at that time was investigating a variety of forms of therapy, and we were recording and filming different practitioners. Yet Dr. Erickson stood out as a unique school in himself, and the usual premises of psychiatry and psychology were not adequate to describe him. During this period, a revolution occurred in the field of therapy with the introduction of the idea of a family orientation. What were once called symptoms or individual problems began to be redefined as products of personal relationships. As we explored the newly developing field of family therapy in our research, and as I began to treat couples and families, I found that Dr. Erickson's approach to treatment was especially revealing. It began to seem possible to place his therapy within a framework of family theory. His family orientation was implicit in his work, and talking with him and examining his cases helped me toward a new view of the family as a center of human dilemmas. When I began to think of human problems as inevitable in the way a family develops over time, I realized that Dr. Erickson's therapy was largely based upon that assumption. I had found the framework for describing his work. The reader of some of these extraordinary cases who is unfamiliar with Dr. Erickson and who might want to know more about him will find in Advanced Techniques of Hypnosis and Therapy, New York, Gruen and Stratton, 1967, Dr. Erickson's collected papers, an introduction giving biographical information about him, as well as an appendix offering a general discussion of his work. There's also in that book a complete bibliography of his writings for those who wish to pursue their interest further. But a few words about Dr. Erickson's professional background may be useful. He attended the University of Wisconsin and received his medical degree at the Colorado General Hospital, simultaneously receiving his master's degree in psychology. After completing special training at the Colorado Psychopathic Hospital, he became a junior psychiatrist at Rhode Island State Hospital. In 1930, he joined the staff of the Worcester, Massachusetts State Hospital and became chief psychiatrist of the research service. 4 years later, he went to Eloise, Michigan, as director of psychiatric research and training at Wayne County General Hospital and Infirmary. He was also associate professor of psychiatry at the Wayne State University College of Medicine and professor in the graduate school. Concurrently, he was briefly a visiting professor of clinical psychology at Michigan State University in East Lansing. In 1948,